Welcome everybody to another edition of the VR Chat Show. I'm your host today, AJ from PSVR Underground and co-host over at PSVR Without Parole, and I'm extremely excited to introduce to you Kluge Interactive, the developers behind my favorite rhythm game, Synth Riders. And joining us today, we've got Aben, the creative director, Wirrel, the product and community manager, Aussie, the senior developer, Falcon, the event host and marketing associate, Teebo, the senior mapper, and Jhean, the senior developer. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. It is an absolute honor to have you here. And today we'll be doing this show from a special room designed in Rec Room after Synth Riders that you can go visit as soon as this interview goes live. Make sure you click the link in the description if you want to check it out. We've also got a bunch of YouTubers joining us today. We've got Skiba VR from Between Realities, Jason the Livinator, Pal from Pal Games, and Shug from Shughead Games. We've also got the crew that designed this amazing room. We've got Velp, the editor and animations, Noctato, an artist, Misery, OnDog, Mystery, Meg, and JP that are artists and animators. Thank you guys, all of you 6 developers here are showing up today. Kluge Interactive, I'm super excited to sit down and talk with you guys about Synth Riders. Like I said, one of my favorite games. First of all, how are you guys doing today?
Fantastic. And I have to say,
pretty good.
Got to say, start off, this room is absolutely amazing. Thank you so much to all of you who put this room together. Yeah, thank you so much.
Cool.
It's brilliant. Yeah, very exciting. I love even the walkers going around the stage, the Eclipse stage. This is the Eclipse stage, one of the most recent spin stages. Yeah, they're insane. So fantastic. Thank you so much for your hard work on this. It's a privilege to be here.
Animations are pretty amazing. The bunch of detail that you guys put together.
So I was just gonna say, after trying to fiddle with the Maker Pen myself, like I have a newfound appreciation for all of this. Like this is crazy.
Yeah, these are the top tier creators in Rec Room that you can find, and it's always a priceless thing to see the developers' reactions, and they're like, "Whoa, this is our game!" And like I said to everyone out there watching, you can go visit this room as soon as this interview goes live. So make sure you go check it out. It's something special. So let's talk about Synth Riders, guys. I got a couple questions about like the team, and just wanted to bounce these off you. First of all, just to get to know you guys a little bit better, where is Kluge Interactive located, and how many members are on the team?
We're based in LA. We had a studio before the pandemic, but then no one wanted to come to the office, so we decided to actually work remotely. And we have people in Latin America, Europe, Australia, US, pretty much. We are distributed around the world.
Excellent.
And we are about almost 30 people already in the team.
Synth Riders is defined as a dance action rhythm game, and it's loads of fun. There's so many things I love about it, from the music and mapping that I want to get to. But what was the inspiration behind the game originally?
It has a little bit of different stuff at the time when we decided to put this idea together. Me especially, I was very into synthwave and following a lot of this new like retro wave 80s aesthetic that came up like 5 to 6 years ago. I was running at that time a community on Instagram called Retro VR that I usually like repost our art or 3D pieces from super talented people, 3D designers that were like following this trend, and it gets super popular. So retro wave VR was like my main source of inspiration at the time. I still using it, and it's pretty much that combination, like an 80s style, like synthwave, and that's the two ingredients that we use to start, plus VR, of course.
Yeah, this is one of those rare games. You know, a lot of rhythm games nowadays, they go for just the popular top 100 poppy, upbeat kind of music. This game has a different bit of a style to it, and this is one of the rare games that I actually find myself exploring some of the bands and artists that are on here and learning more about them. I'm actually a huge fan of like Carpenter Brute, and I'm also a fan of Metal and Offspring, and so there's been like so many bands. So when you make a decision to add an artist, is it just based on like personal preference, or do you say, well, these guys are like, you know, my favorites, or they're just popular? What comes, how do you come to that decision?
It has a little bit of everything. Like usually we put a playlist together, like an inspirational playlist, and we decided together what kind of songs we're gonna use, because it's not only if the song is good or trendy, it also depends if the song is good for mapping. So if we can get the best out of it, and that's pretty important. So that's part of the process that we follow. I was DJ, and I have some sort of like a music background, and that's helped me a lot to actually like pick up the songs and understanding. I've been mapping mapper myself. I did the original mapping of the game. So I cannot try to put that as much effort as possible when picking the song to create an inspirational playlist that we can discuss and get inspired by.
Well, it resonates with me a ton. I'm also a former musician, playing bass, drums, and guitar, and I've always felt like the music in this game was by somebody who really enjoyed good music. So thank you for that, because most of the time I'm like, where's this, where's the metal, where's the synth wave, where's, you know, instead of just the popular stuff that's just, you know, it probably makes a lot of money, but it's nice to get something different that is like, it just feels like it has a little bit more soul to it. And you know, you mentioned the mapping. We've got the senior mapper with us, Teebo. How you doing, man?
Pretty good.
I love the mapping in this game. There's something I feel like really kind of transcends a little bit with the gameplay when the lyrics and the music and everything match up to the movements it's making you do. Stuff like Butterfly, how it's making you flap your wings, or Phoenix has more like a slow, like wide flaps and stuff. What do you do? What's the process like that for coming up with mapping ideas?
Before I get into that, I should say that, you know, the OST and the mapping is not like entirely only me. You know, we have a great team of people on the OST. You know, we have the lead mapper, What the Shark, that I work very, very closely with, and, you know, all of us together, plus Wirrel, who often QAs all the maps. It's a very much a team effort. So yeah, that compliment is like for me, but it's also for everyone else too that's involved in that process. About where the ideas come for mapping. Oh geez, they come from everywhere. Like, it's kind of like asking an artist, like, how do they draw? You know, it's kind of like, well, when you reflect on it, you're like, oh geez. I have to say that something that comes, or like one of the most or that we use is something literal mapping. I think I was talking with you earlier about that. Is you kind of just like match what the song is saying, and that kind of drives a really strong tie between the song and the map, right? So we were talking about the map for Uprising, right? And the guy was saying, or the singer was saying that there's green belts that are wrapping your minds, right? And of course, in that moment, What the Shark decided to map green notes in that section, right? So it's just little things like that where you kind of listen for what the lyrics are saying and all that. Another way that we get ideas for mapping is something that Wirrel actually put into really good words, is that you kind of listen to the song and you think about what instrument do you naturally go to pick up when you are listening to it. So like, do you want to play an air guitar? Do you want to like sing vocals, right? Or do you want to play the drums or something? And depending on what you kind of are instinctively want to pick up and do when you listen to the song and you're jamming out to it, that's kind of what we decide to start keying on and what to kind of mimic when we're we're mapping. And of course, you have this other stuff like trying to choreograph dance moves and just trying to key to emphasize certain parts of the song. It's just kind of like an amalgamation of all that.
It is super cool. It is like really is one of my favorite things about the game, and I really think that I wonder, do you guys think that that's something we'll see in the future, more rhythm games that try to do like the literal mapping or try to incorporate that? You think that's going to be like a trend that blows up, or maybe just something unique to you guys?
I'm fairly sure it's there in a bunch of other games that do the same thing. A lot of mappers would do the same thing. But the Synth Riders is a little bit different because of the mechanics that we have. We can express things in different ways, and it's like as Teebo said, you have that instinctive, you want to play the guitar. Well, when you play Reapers out of the most recent Muse pack, there is a section where the mappers have actually made you do these big air guitar swings like you're in the Who. It's quite quite remarkable, but you don't know it until you play it. You might have to play it 3 or 4 or 5 times to actually feel, oh, hang on a minute, I'm playing the giant air guitar. This is really cool. So we love those little Easter egg kind of things.
Right.
I always think, when I'm playing the maps as part of the QA for new packs, the thing that's in my mind is that the way that I'm playing it has to feel like the song sounds. And I make this statement all the time, is that the best maps for us are the ones where the map actually gets out of the way and plugs the player straight from one side into the song on the other side, and it enhances that listening experience you have. You hear the sound, but you also feel the sound and play the sound. When you have that connection, it is that transcendent experience that gives you an extra dimension to what you're playing. And I think the Synth Riders mechanic is, Aben's a genius giving us rails, because it just gives us that flexibility to express so much more musically. It gives us a lot more flexibility than just being able to hit a note. There's just so much more flexibility that we can have to be expressive and to do slow things. We show that we can do a wide variety of BPMs. We can go all the way from, Never Gonna Die by Pennywise at one side, and then we can go to Miracle by Caravan Palace at the other side, which is a slow jam. And you can do everything in between. The number of times when players hear a playlist, they go, nope, I can't imagine what that's going to be like in Synth Riders. And we go, just you wait. And it's the engine keeps on allowing us to express those things. It's remarkable.
Yeah, I noticed like with Madness, I was definitely curious about how you guys were going to pull off Madness, but then there's like parts where you're talking about Madness and it's like doing like the spirals and stuff. So that has been a super special thing for me, is to go in and it adds a bunch of replay value to it. What makes it so crazy to me is how this ends up being just really brilliant game design and like fun game design for people that like to play lots of games like myself. And I pick up on these things, and it's just been such a great experience. And yeah, like you said, the Caravan Palace, that, they're huge. They're really, really popular, but I had never heard of them before because I'm kind of like in my own little bubble musically. But that song Miracle, oh my God, like that. When you choose these bands or artists, I should say, do you what's the process like picking the songs with them? Do they have control over the songs, or do you guys say we want these, or how does that work exactly?
They ask and we say no. No, it's the other way around. We ask them and they say no.
They say no, but we'll give you these or let you do these.
It can be. And Aben touched on it before, is that playlist, like, I can't emphasize how much music is at the heart of Kluge, by way of background. Kluge was originally Kludge magazine. It was a music magazine run by the CEO, Arturo Perez. And then when he joined up with Aben, they dropped the D and became Kluge Interactive. But music has been there since day one. And Aben, with his DJ background, music is really important to everybody. And it's something that, even when we're not talking about mapping, we're forever sharing music around. It's like, hey, have you heard this artist or this music? This is what I'm listening to this week. And it can be everything, anything and everything. So nothing's kind of off the table. And we'll just throw playlists around, as Aben said, inspirational playlists, and we'll talk about, wouldn't this be fantastic, but no, it won't be very good to map, or this artist is way, way too big. We couldn't possibly ask this artist. But the links that the CEOs had with music with the music industry through having a music magazine has been really helpful. When you combine that with having a DJ in the background, it really makes the process a lot more open to us. And we're not kind of frightened to ask. It's a case of we put a playlist together and we just say, well, all we have to do is ask. We'll just ask. The worst they can do is say no, and then we go on to another artist. But definitely finding indie artists or artists that are in a similar vein to a large artist. The Synthwave 2 pack was a great case of that, where we had our first chance to be able to work with Muse. It would have been very difficult for us to put our hand up and ask for some of those really big songs straight out the gate, because they've got no idea what we can do. And they've got no idea. It's something very new for them. We were able to then pair a really big name like that with some amazing synthwave artists like FM84 and Ollie Ride. That's Running in the Night is an absolute synthwave classic, and it was so good to be able to get that and the Midnight and songs like that. So yeah, we're always sharing playlists around. We're always throwing ideas around. And we ask for things, but we don't always get them. Is probably the way I look at it. Never hurts to ask.
Well, I personally love you guys' taste in music. I was really excited when it launched on PSVR. Obviously, the game is available on Quest as well. But when it launched on PSVR, it came with the Adrenaline pack was brand new, and it had The Offspring and Pennywise and a couple other artists actually. And I grew up as a punk rock bassist, so I idolize these guys. The Offspring is like one of my favorite bands of all time, and super talented group. And I actually saw Offspring, Pennywise, and Bad Religion in the same concert. They toured together. When you were in talks with them, were they like, we come bundled together, or was it like, hey, we're doing this game, they want to do it too, or how did that end up?
Aben can probably feel that one. It's sort of a label thing, isn't it?
Yeah, they all belongs to the same record label.
Okay.
So that's why it was easy to pack them all together.
With Muse, was that something? Was that a label as well, or are they kind of independent? Because they're huge. Do you guys talk to the artist musicians directly, or is it all like agents and stuff like that?
Oh, it really depends on the artist. So some of the smaller. Yeah, some of the smaller
one, we can talk with
artists.
them directly. Yeah, we can talk with them directly. If it's big, usually it's a manager.
Are the managers usually like? Are they like, what the heck is VR, or are they like, oh, that sounds cool?
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes a little bit of both.
Yeah, certainly with The Offspring is a good one too. We actually sent them headsets for them
Oh, really?
Yeah, we did. We sent them headsets so they could play their own music, and it's a big thing. And you would have seen Muse playing their own music. When you see the artists playing their own music, that is kind of mind-blowing.
Oh, yeah.
So it's kind of mind-blowing for us, yeah.
All right, guys. So Synth Riders comes with a bunch of tracks in the base game, like 55, and then there's some DLC expansions. Do you guys have any plans for future content, and maybe also possible new modes? How do you guys plan to expand on the game in the future?
Pretty much, you can guarantee we're always working on new music for the game. I think that's almost it's almost pretty much a guarantee. if we're not actively mapping it, we're certainly in the process of organizing it. So that's we're in that constant cycle now of constant content creation. That's where we're at. And as for gameplay, well, you just have to wait and see.
No, absolutely. The team does not stop. So there's one thing comes out, and then the next thing. The team is always working on creating something. So just like Will said, we have to wait and see.
Yeah,
the best answer
the
for
game
that question.
the game has a ton of variety of music. That's one of the things I love about it as well. Is that maybe a goal? Do you ever set like goals like that? Is that a potential thing? Is like how many? Is that important to you guys? I should say is to have like kind of a music choice for everybody.
We want to bring a little bit of everything, and we pretty much have we call it internally like music packs, which is it could be independent artist or something that we create with one record label, but in the other hands we have the essentials, which is like a little taste of a music genre or a style of music I mean, people are getting more used to not call it by genre these days, and more like, oh, this is fitness, or this is adrenaline, or this is, that like using different words that are not just a genre. So you can put different genres into like one kind of feeling, I think. Yes, the idea is to expand it more. There is more independent artists coming, and other essentials as well.
Well, I really, really look forward to them. Jason, you have a question?
Oh yes, yeah. Are you guys planning on adding any different genres like a hip hop or anything of that sort? I mean, I'm a big hip hop. I love what you have in there already, but just picking your brain to see if there is any kind of different stuff coming there.
We've been thinking of that, but I think that the big challenge with hip hop is the lyrics, so we need to be careful.
Yeah, ASCAP is already right. You have to make sure it's ASCAP so there isn't the language barrier, or not the language barrier, the offensive language, right? Those are the clean versions of the music, because of course you want to gear it for kids too as well, I'm sure, instead of just adults. But there's some good artists out there that you can get away with that, and
It's a really interesting point, because we do get a lot of artist submissions now. I've sort of really noticed over the last year, last 6 months in particular, the independent artists are going, hey, I've got this music for your game. And we actually have a space on the website where you can go and say, I would like you to license my music for your game, and put the information up there. So again, if you know indie artists, we're always listening to indie artists. And when people come and say, like, I've got this great music, I think it would be really good in your game, you just say, well, send it in. We always listen to it, even if we don't have a space for it now, or if it doesn't work now. But we'll always try and give it a listen, because I say music is at the heart of what we do at Kluge. And that's one of the things with hip hop too. Is like I love Aussie hip hop. If you haven't ever heard Aussie hip hop, it's different. Yeah, it's unusual, but I do enjoy some Aussie hip hop, and lyrics is one thing, but yeah, it's just a matter. I think samples are also another issue too. The more samples that are used in a song makes it much more difficult to clear the licensing. So that's one of the barriers. The more samples something uses, the harder it is to license, because you have to clear every single sample in that song for licensing. So it's much easier if an artist, the easiest situation is where an artist owns all their own music and controls all their own rights. They can assign them really easily. They can do a deal with you. The hardest is where someone has sampled 70 or 80 things that are still in copyright, and you have to go and get clearance for those. So there's always this trade-off, and there's lots of things that would be nice to have. But yeah, definitely having that depth of music, and not being frightened to pick up a new genre. Electro swing is a great case in point. It's an amazing genre. It's something different a lot of people would never have thought of. And I know, Justin, you and I had that conversation about how electro swing is almost just waiting for someone to bring it into rhythm games.
Just like it just seems so obvious to me. Like, still at the same time, when I heard it was coming, I was just so surprised, because I guess you just get conditioned to a certain type of music in rhythm gaming, and like, even though people are playing those songs with like custom songs and such in all sorts of rhythm games, just nobody really did an OST, so it's kind of surprising when it came, but at the same time it just seems so obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
I love those electro swing songs. That is like something where I was like, electro swing? I was like, I don't know. But then the next thing, I'm like doing all the moves and doing all the dances.
The mapping.
And it's actually one of the things that like excels in the game.
And it's funny, you picked Butterfly before. Well, Teebo actually mapped Butterfly. So with the flapping of the arms and the whole thing.
Yeah,
You got this.
it's so
you're
much
like
fun.
crossing your arms like that.
Yeah,
And your legs.
that's like, especially on master, on the
Yeah.
master difficulty too. Speaking of which, with the mapping on there, so it's hard to describe, but how do you find the right balance when you go to expert, and then there's like a master difficulty as well? When you hit master, do you still try to keep it fun and whatnot, or do you just go for straight difficulty there?
Well, so that's a really interesting question because it greatly depends on the song, right? So if you take, like, for instance, I think Wirrel mentioned Pennywise Never Gonna Die, that song.
Yeah.
I'm the one who mapped that song, right? And when you think about what that song is, it's a very chaotic, just like barrage of just energy, right?
Yeah.
It's like very chaotic, right? And so, you know, for the master in that one, you would naturally want to make the map for that reflect what the song is, match the song's energy, which is why that one is just a straight bullet hell the entire time, basically. It's chaotic and it makes you kind of panic a little bit, especially on the master. But then, you know, you think about songs like Miracle, like Wirrel also mentioned, and for the master in that, you can, there's always like a set difficulty that you kind of need to match for master, and it's something that you generally feel rather than like kind of very pinpoint like no, right? But for a song like Miracle, you kind of want to also match the energy of that song, and that's very chill. It takes you on a journey, and it's very tricky to do slower songs in master because you have to kind of almost put in some difficulty that you wouldn't normally like expect, or like it's not obvious at first, right? So if you look at it, you'd probably think that it's not that difficult until you go and play it, and you're like, oh my gosh, like I can't do this. So yeah, as far as that goes, for masters, it's typically matching what the song's energy is, and then just kind of going off of what you kind of want to see in the map, and just letting your creativity go. And then, you know, for expert and going down, you kind of have to match each difficulty to what you're expecting players at that level to reasonably be able to accomplish. And so for expert, it's, you know, for people who can't necessarily play master quite yet, they should still get the same like level and concept and design of the master map, but you need to kind of tone it down for them. And then incrementally hard, normal, and easy, you kind of have to think, what would a player at normal difficulty be able to do versus a player at hard difficulty, right? And so there's very hard rules about, like, let's say in easy, it's generally not a good idea to do something like a crossover because players at that level don't really have that like sense of where their hands are, right? And so, you know, it's just like a balance. And, you know, of course, you know, with Wirrel QAing all the maps, you kind of, sometimes you'll send her something and she'll play it and she'll be like, yeah, this is a little too hard, just a little bit too hard, you know, and, or too easy, and you got to bump it up. It's just a balance. But yeah, just trying to think about what is reasonably expected of the player for each difficulty is a big way that you balance the maps.
Excellent. Well, so, you know, we've talked about your musical background. You guys obviously have awesome taste in music, and that is a heavy influence on the game. But what about your gaming backgrounds? Because when I played this game, I was thinking to myself, like, wow, these guys know good game design and things that just make give games some depth and some really cool designs here and there. What's your gaming background overall?
I mean, the gaming background, I mean, I've been playing game like pretty much my whole life since I had my first computer when I was, I think, 6 years old or something, a long time ago. Like, I mean, my type of game are like, I love like frenetic game, like pretty action games, not first person game, but like, let's say something like Thumper or I don't know, like Guitar Hero, those kind of stuff. Like you don't have to challenge like yourself finding stuff, but how your brain can learn through the levels and make it when you're getting into more complex stuff. Like this is super fast, or you know, like I need to be fast enough to beat this level. So those kind of things, and that's part of my background as a game designer. We did a couple of games and a couple of experiences before create Synth Riders, and pretty much started from there.
Do you guys do anything else other than games at Kluge Interactive?
Yeah, my original background is actually UI and UX designer and creative director.
Well, that's awesome. Well, you guys just have a knack for it then. I mean, just the gaming and the music, it's just a great natural fit. And one of the things that the game has on the Quest and other side is the multiplayer. and that's one of the big standouts. Now, there's a funny story behind the way that I first played Synth Riders, because I was, waiting. We waited a little while for it to come to PlayStation VR, but I happened to pick up a Quest 2, and I was like, well, now I can preview some games coming to PSVR. And are you familiar with a game called The Walking Dead: Saints and Sinners?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, there was actually a developer there named Tiffany. She's one of the directors over there, and she was like, we talk all the time about games and having fun, and she was like, AJ, you have to play Synth Riders. Like, I know the kind of games you like and everything.
She loves that
and
game.
yeah, and she was like, you have to play this. So I went and picked it up on the Quest, and I was absolutely blown away by the music and the mapping, like I said before. But one thing that I didn't try till later was the multiplayer. And it's not, there's a couple other rhythm games out there that they try to implement a multiplayer, and it's basically just like a leaderboard, just like a real-time leaderboard that you're kind of competing against. This is much more than that, and I compare the multiplayer in this almost like Mario Kart. I mean, it is the most Mario Kart-like experience I've had. So how challenging was that to get that mode incorporated, and maybe you could tell us more info about maybe potentially when we might see the multiplayer hit PSVR, because I love the game as is, but that is such a game changer for the game.
With the power-ups, the Mario Kart sort of mode, when we first started working on that, Abe came to me with the idea that he was working on, and basically all it was at the point was like, what do you think about power-ups? And it's just, that's enough. That's enough information, because of games like Mario Kart, and the first one that came to my mind was Tetranet, which I don't know if anybody else has played that, but
I was thinking Tetris,
yeah,
where you kind of like send blocks and stuff at each other.
Oh yeah, that's the one. But yeah, everybody else goes to Mario Kart, so I guess it's something on me. But in any case, I knew exactly what he meant is just from the word power-ups. So I think certainly there were some like technical challenges in bringing it all together, but in terms of like the coming up with like ideas or finding the fun, like it kind of just put itself together almost. It's just I don't know, it just felt natural. It was a good fit for what we were doing. It was a good way to actually get players in what would otherwise be like really non-interactive to start actually interacting with each other, which is not something that you get in other rhythm game multiplayer experiences.
Yeah, it feels more like Mario Kart than actual kart racers that I've played. And it's, Mario Kart, what I love about it is, well, at least with the Synth Riders multiplayer, is like, it kind of feels like it's an even playing field no matter the skill level. Depending on, there could be somebody, I've played with people that are way better than I am, but because of all the stuff we've sent to them while battling it out, it kind of gave me the advantage, and I was able to like pull ahead and vice versa. And it's just such a cool mode. With PSVR, are you guys planning on having the full 10-player multiplayer as well that's available on the other platforms?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's it, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
that,
the Mario Kart approach was very intentional. So we wanted to. One of the things that I love from Mario Kart is exactly what you were saying. Like, no matter if you are like at the bottom of the other one. So if you pick a power, you can be the first one. So it's not skill based, but it had that. You have to be lucky as well with the power-ups and how to use it.
Right. I mean, and I've been blue-shelled as well. Like, I get right to the end, I'm in first, and then I just get hit with all this stuff, and then I end up last. I mean, right at the finish line, too.
Yep.
It is crazy how similar it is. Shug, you got a question?
I do have a question. It's it's regarded to the PlayStation VR. But before that, in case I don't get a chance to say it again, guys, I want to thank you so much for representing Dance with the Dead in the game. I am a massive fan of that group, and when I saw that, I was like, oh, I'm done. And if you guys bring out a music pack of Dance in the Dead, I will strip down naked and stream for charity. I want that song pack.
See, this is what happens when we take off the cuffs.
But back to my real question is kind of jumping off of what AJ was saying. I was wondering if you guys could kind of give us a little bit of a peek behind the curtain as far as the conversations and maybe some of the decision-making process as it relates to porting Synth Riders to various headsets. Now, I kind of got on board with you guys who are on PC just because I was lucky enough to kind of have the ability to try it in early access and then kind of see it flourish. But I was just curious about what the ideas are behind the scenes when you're going, okay, Quest first, then PlayStation, stuff like that. If you guys could shed any light on that.
From a technical point of view, Jhean heads up our porting process. He's been the main force of all the ports of the game. So he as one of the two. So Aben and Jhean were the two original creators, and Jhean is the dev who made the very first iterations of Synth Riders, and he's headed up every port ever since. So he did the first port to Quest, and then has ported to Pico. Pico was our second. Third platform that we're on, but yeah, Jhean is a good one to ask that question.
Actually, the porting for Quest, like we are saying that was the first, it was relatively easy. We just need to downgrade some visual access and like maybe removing some code was not so performance intensive in Quest like in Quest, but it was relatively easy. For PlayStation, we use the Quest as base. The PS4 is a great device. Is the code from Quest to PS4 is particularly the port was practically one to one.
So
cool.
That path of porting, was a lot simpler going from Quest to PlayStation than it would be going from PC straight to PlayStation. So I think us having that port timeline of being able to go from PCVR to Quest first, we made all those compression decisions that we needed to do to be able to get the game to fit within the boundaries of the Quest 1 in particular, because being on Quest 1 first. And then being able to go to PlayStation was easier to go to PS4. In terms of decisions about what headsets we port to,
I don't
Aiden
think
is probably a good thing.
I'm not sure exactly, but it was like actually pretty natural. We had a chance to actually do the PlayStation port way back, but we decided to wait until we have more content that people can enjoy right over with the first version, and have more music and more mods, and have the game more polished until we jump to PlayStation, because we knew that it's going to be challenge, it's going to be interesting for with PlayStation. I think one of the things that we wanted to make sure is, if we want to make it right, we need to make it right, because there is a huge audience, and we wanted to like don't miss that chance,
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it is a bit of a weird time for PSVR right now, because it's in a transitional period, where everybody's now moving to, slowly, but going to be moving to PS5s, and then eventually the next generation VR headset for PlayStation. Do you guys have interest in continuing and following the next generation headsets, and maybe potentially making a PlayStation VR 2 release?
Yeah, our PS5 dev kits have arrived only very recently. Jan's received his PS5 dev kit, and I've got the test kit. So that's our next step, is to look at what a PlayStation 5 enhanced version of the game looks like, as well as. But again, our first priority is to get multiplayer, to get essentially the game on PSVR feature complete and matching everything else, because we understand that multiplayer is something that we love. We wouldn't have Falcon streaming every week into multiplayer. We wouldn't have been running a year's worth of events every single weekend for community multiplayer, and we wouldn't do Play with the Devs in multiplayer if we didn't recognize that multiplayer and being there with our community is one of the most amazing experiences you can have in Synth Riders. And we want PlayStation to come to that party as well. There's no reason not to. We know that technically it's feasible. I can say that I have been in a multiplayer room on my PlayStation, so I know that technically there's no impediment to being able to do it. It's just all logistical. So yeah, I think it's very exciting, but that's for our priority is before we even look at anything else, we want to get the game feature complete with what the offering is as it sits on Quest. And at the same time, that's going to bring lots of good things for the rest of the player base too, because the things that we have to do in order to get the game ready for multiplayer on PlayStation will benefit every other player along the way too. So, and that's a sort of a design thing that we do, is every time we touch one thing, like if we have to go back and look at something, we try and make things better. So it's an approach that we have, is say, well, while we're here looking at this, what can we do to pull in from the wish list, from the community's wish list? What can we pull in from our accessibility list of things that we want to improve the way the game works? What can we do to make the game better? If you've got to touch something, you may as well make it better. That's a really good ethos to have.
Yeah, that is awesome. Actually, I was wanting to ask Falcon over here about that. And so it sounds like when multiplayer drops for PlayStation VR and what's currently included with the Quest versions, Quest and PC side, seems like it's more than just a 10-person battle multiplayer. You host certain events, things like that. Can you tell us what kind of events you do?
Absolutely. So, like Will said, we started over a year ago. I think it was June. It was the first session, and so you can have 10 people per group. And what we do is we started with only 6, 8, and then 10 people, and we named them. So we have Saturday Synth Fever at 6 p.m. PST. That happens every weekend, and we haven't missed a beat. So that's been on every week. And what I do is on the Synth Riders official channels on YouTube and Twitch, which is Synth Riders VR, you can jump in and you can watch me jump between the rooms. And I say rooms now because we start with 1. Now we start with 3 and go to 5, 6 rooms even. So that's 10 people, 60 people, and then you can create your own rooms. So people that have made friends in those rooms then go create their own rooms. So yeah, all of a sudden we have rooms for each difficulty, and then we have amazing hosts from the community that come and actually jump in to host those rooms for us. They start creating their own little communities, and then they start making their own groups. So it's actually, we've made an amazing time and an amazing safe place, inclusive space for everybody to jump in and play together. So they may not come and always join the event that we're hosting officially, but we made it so people know it's a good time to jump in and play with all their friends, find new people to play with. And also, as you mentioned, like power-ups. Power-ups isn't something that's always on. So you found out about power-ups that way. A lot of people don't realize how many different ways of playing the game is. So when you jump into these multiplayer sessions, you find the different difficulties of even the map. Like you get to play, because the rooms are difficulty based as well, you might be just playing master all the time, but then you jump in with some friends and play hard difficulty or even normal, and you find, wow, this is making you move differently, and you find different more ways to play the game, and it just creates even a different game within the game, if that makes sense.
Yeah, one of my favorite experiences in the multiplayer in this is when, so I love putting all the mods. There's loads of customization in this game. I mean, not just the play styles, but the visual elements as well. I mean, stuff from the texture filtering to aliasing you can customize so much stuff. I really love that. And one of my favorite things is if we're playing multiplayer spin mode, and a big spin occurs, you hear everybody all at once go, ah, like as soon as
Yeah,
it happens.
the interaction between players is amazing. And like the audio settings, it's so important to bring up actually. So when you do jump in the multiplayer setting, it's a fantastic time to remind everybody to jump in there, and you can actually push the talk on, or you can completely turn off voice chat as well. So there's so many settings there to make it easier. And even individually, when you're in the main lobby with your friends, you can turn people's volumes down, you can mute them completely. So there's just so many options. So it's always worth touching everything that you can to find out more. And if you have any questions, you can always jump into any of the socials and just say, yo, we want to ask this question if it's there, or can we have it? And usually, the worst that could happen is no, or not at this time, but it's always something that the team takes on board, and as the list just grows, and we just try to include as much as we can.
I had a community. I reached out to the community itself because VR has an amazing community right now that is constantly growing, and it's a lot of just gaming enthusiasts, VR tech enthusiasts, a great mix, but because it's a little bit smaller right now and growing, it's a lot of genuine, great personalities that you get to meet on a day-to-day basis. And it's really lucky. I feel so lucky every day that I get to meet these wonderful communities and hang out and grow together and really get to know people beyond just just competitive interactions or however co-op interactions. But one of the things I was going to ask, I completely forgot. One of the things I was going to ask was I reached out to the community for some questions to ask you guys. Again, really big fans over in our community that just absolutely love the game and can't wait to watch it continue to grow and expand. First thing, like you said, being multiplayer. But they were curious about potential other modes and wanted to throw out the idea of how hard would it be, or just wanted to throw out there the idea of like a ghost, like a time trial kind of thing where you play against yourself, maybe with a meter. That they were wondering if there's a way in the game to where you can see if you're beating your previous score or see if you're doing better than your previous activity, something like that.
I know that kind of thing is on the wish list and has been for quite some time. So we don't have anything on the books like right now for that, but you never know. And look, we run an official wish list over on our Discord, and we sort of encourage players, look, if you've got something that you want that you think would make a great suggestion for the game, the Discord is actually the best place to come and hang out with us. You'll find all of us here in that Discord, and we're really, really awesome. Approachable. So yeah, just throw your idea down in the wish list, or have a look and see some of the other things that people have asked for. Add your votes to them, and we do look at that list. We really do look at that list, and we sit down and we go, yep, this will work, or no, that won't. Or say it's like us when we're asking about music. The worst thing that can happen is we can say no, like Falcon said. No. The worst thing we can say is say no or not at this time. But if you don't ask, it'll never happen. So yeah, it's an interesting suggestion, and I'd recommend making the wish list. That I can. Whenever there's a new idea, it's really important for me not to rush, because part of me is going to the technical implementation. I'm always thinking, now, how would that work? How would that work? But it's best to just ask the questions. And so we sort of encourage players to, just say, hey, it'd be kind of cool if this could happen. And the rest of that we can take ourselves and think about whether it's something that's doable.
Well, I love developers that, listen to the community and take in feedback, or open to feedback at the very least. Like you said, at least they're listening. And that's something really unique with VR developers that you don't see that in like traditional mainstream gaming and stuff where they're like, hey, can we get this? And it's like, no, like it's really cool how interactive they can be. Liv, you got a question?
Well, I got to ask with the mode that you're asking for. So if you play against the ghost version of you and you lose, does that what is it going to say at the end? Does it mean you played yourself? Did you play yourself on that one there? If you lose,
you played yourself. No, they were saying like they want to know like if they're beating him in, like, let's say for example Dirt Rally, the racing game. It's something you'd see more in a racing game, really, like where you'd see like the ghost you're racing against. But I guess in Synth Riders, the only way I could see it being is like there's like a white bar, and like if you're currently beating your old score or something, or it's like green, and then if you're falling behind your old score, it like turns red, or it's like as an example, because it wouldn't really help to have like a ghost like swiping, and you're just like like
No.
8 arms flying out.
The community, the competitive community actually do that kind of thing themselves. Like when they're playing, and they talk about it as going through gates. They say, and like I only know this because I talk to our competitive players, and they sort of say they know that by a certain point in a map, when they reach a point, it might be a special section or by a particular set of walls or something like that. They know that their score has to be above a certain point by that point, or else the run is a failure. And what you're pretty much asking for is something that formalizes that, rather than them having to know, in this map, if I haven't reached 3 million by the time I reach this point of the song, it's a dead run, and I need to start over again if I want to have a chance of being able to push my score above that.
Right.
So
the very competitive side.
Yeah.
About the community feedback. We have what's up, Skiva?
So I just had a question. I don't want to kind of derail this, but I have to say, so we've talked a lot about the music in this game and the amazing mappings that you guys are able to pull off. But one of the things I want to hear about as well is this game for me is so aesthetically amazing and just completely beautiful that I've had some of my biggest wow moments in virtual reality while playing Synth Riders, because the visuals just blow me away. I was kind of curious about how you guys kind of attack that and what your original thoughts were when kind of thinking about how this whole thing was going to look, right? Like, it's obviously very like inspired by like early 80s stuff and maybe trend type of things, but like what was your kind of design pattern in figuring out how the whole thing was going to pan out with the looks, because you did a fantastic job.
I think personally one of the things that we usually that we get that one of the elements that inspire me a lot, that I think it works pretty well in Synth Riders, is to put like gigantic pieces. Like say I get we got reference from Never Ending Story, that's pieces. So those kind of things, like when you look around, you're like, wow, what the hell is it? So and it's easy to remind. It's not like a tiny piece that you're gonna see once in a while. It's something that you go through that stuff, and you might get intimidated like somehow. So that gigantic kind of element through all the stages is something that we keep consistent as much as we can.
I love how he was asking that question. There was the TV screen with the spider legs from the glitch map just jumping up and down. Like, it was perfect. There it is. There it is. Yeah. That was perfect.
We took that reference from Stranger Things.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. What kind of are there any other like Easter eggs in the game like that?
The robots.
The robots.
Which
well,
ones?
I noticed.
Yeah.
Like I know. Yeah, you're right. There are like that's the one with like the big head, right? And then you've got like the Phoenix level. There are some really beautiful level designs in these too, and I think one of my favorites is like the Lost City, where it feels like you're riding down the street in like a neon like tunnels and whatnot. And there's some really excellent ones, especially the ones that when they are moving. I think I do really like the city one though, the rooftop. That one I really like, even though it's not like moving. It's just a beautiful neon kind of Tokyo city.
So what I'm wondering is, now looking around here, do any of the billboards make more sense to you now?
The billboards?
The billboards, because in Spin City, in Spin City, you've got Teebo's Resort is in Spin City, Wirrel's coffee shop is in Spin City, Little Azzy's Tavern, Shigoki. There's a reward. There's a Bitcoin reward for Shigoki's arrest. All sorts of stuff. So when you're looking around in Spin City, they all relate to people in the team who've been involved for a long time as part of the team.
That is super cool.
It's kind of cool. So they're not just random advertising. It's there's things in there for lots of people. What I wanted to say is sort of, I came into Kluge as a player. So I started playing in 2018, December 2018. right, 2018, a long time ago. I lose count. And I'm like you. When I first started playing this game, I went, the aesthetic here is amazing. It was like, and there's, because I streamed my first play, and I've actually gone back and listened to what I said, and I said it's like they took music that I love, put it into a world that I love, and it's like it was tailor-made for me, and it was just incredible. So I've never left ever since. But there's something very, very special about, and Aben hasn't talked about it, but he comes from a family of artists, and like the more that I find out about his family of artists, I'm amazed. If you have a look at some of his work that he's done, the giant heads are a thing. I had to say the giant heads are a thing. They have been for a long time, and I see it a lot in his work. This concept of oversized is there too, but as an artistic designer, he has a real sense of style that is very uniquely him. And Teebo, you probably said the same thing too. Like, I know your visual art background is really strong. Do you get the same impression I do, that he has a really defined style of aesthetic? And I think that's what makes Synth Riders so good. I always said from day one that it looked to me like one person with an artistic vision informed this space. It wasn't designed by a committee. It was designed by one person's pure artistic vision. And having that hands on it gives it a cohesion that you get when you have a really well-defined artistic vision, and not being frightened to experiment. That's the other thing I'll say about Aben too, as a creative director. He's not frightened to take a risk. He's not frightened to make a mistake. He's just always keen to explore things all the way through, and he encourages the same thing in the rest of his team. So, we were talking about the experiences are some of the big wow factors that people have, like the algorithm experience and things like that. And
so good.
The most amazing thing is that Aben invites everybody to have creative input into those things too. So, from the mappers to the rest of the design team, they all come and bring their ideas to the table. And what's funny for me sitting here is that the animation that comes up here every so often is the giant pair of lips. That one there, the neon lips.
Oh yeah.
Now that was and that was me. That was mine. So the particular song, there's a point in the song where the lyric goes ooh, and I've known that song for a long time, and every time I've played that, when I've streamed it, my chat would always try and line up the words ooh to appear at the same time as the song. So I know that moment is really important for me. So I'd sent Aben a video which had like a really dodgy green screen pair of lips to appear at that point in the song. I said, wouldn't it be cool if this happened? And he went, yeah, okay, bang, and there it was, Nice. So this idea of there's not just a strong artistic vision, but there's a collaborative approach that goes with it. And like I say, every day I feel privileged to be able to be a part of that.
Yeah, I have to say, like, for like the Starlight experience for the new Muse Pack, Aben and Wirrel both had invited me to like a little collaborative thing to review it, and at that point it was still like, it was about halfway done. It was just a lot of ideas, and in the beginning it was mostly finished, but towards the end it was kind of just just ideas and all that kind of stuff. And I remember saying to them, like, I really would like to encourage you guys to make the ending just like insane, right? Because that's like the whole climax of the song. It needs to just make you go like, oh my gosh, what is happening, right? And after that piece of feedback, like the next time they showed it to me, like there's stars exploding in your face, you're flying through Jupiter, right? And then you go into a black hole, and it's just like, that's my favorite part of that one. No, for real, yeah. And then it was my favorite parts of map too, because you got the hits that time with the the stars and all that. But it's just like it's a testament to like the collaborative nature of like experiences, as now, where it's like you just throw off a comment and you're like, this is how I feel about it. The next thing you know, it's in there, or something similar to what you were kind of suggesting or feeling is in there, and you're freaking out about it. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, there was a lot. Those experiences are really such a nice touch. I mean, it gives each of those like a really unique look and feel, and I really enjoyed the Muse Starlight one. I mean, beyond the epic. What did you say?
We're trying to make video clips in VR, so it is super challenging.
Music videos, kind of.
Basically,
yeah.
They're super cool though. They add another unique element.
Something interesting that we always go through, like when we finish an experience, we always said like to us like, oh, this is the best experience that we haven't done, so that we've done. when the next one comes, when we finish the next one, we said the same thing. So the next
they
one,
always top
the next
themselves,
one
always. Never fail.
the next one, it's pretty insane. I'm gonna tease that.
Yeah. Oh, really? Oh, nice. Oh, what's up,
I got to interject on that new Muse pack. I mean, a lot of the experiences are amazing. I think like Wonderland and the Adrenaline one are two of my favorites. But oh my God, you guys blew my mind with this last one. The team hasn't had a chance to see that yet. I got to give them the chance to see that. It just was, I was just amazed. Like, I mean, it's just wow. I mean, I'm like at a loss for words on that one. That experience was by far just blew my mind.
I think it's probably the most narrative. It's the most narrative experience that we've done so far. It definitely tells a story, and I think that's a really good exploration. You know, I think I'm not joking. We call it an intergalactic love story. You know,
I mean,
that's what it is for me.
You have stuff coming in from behind, coming for. Oh my God, it's just
Well,
it's just hard to.
It's interesting.
You have to experience. It's hard to explain. It's hard to explain for me.
It's interesting because like as that was being made or before it was being made, I remember that Wirrel had written a document of like each verse in the song and what it represents and what it means, right? And that kind of helped drive home this like Wirrel said, this intergalactic love story, right? So it's definitely unique, I would say.
It's more than just like flashing things on the screen. Like when they say fade away and the person running like actually fades away, and you know, back to that literal stuff going on there is super cool. And
Did you notice? Did you notice what the rails did? Did you notice that you're doing this? You're running, and then they fade away.
I noticed. See, that's what I'm saying. And I've been encouraging a lot of people because I think they miss so much trying to play the game. I'm like, go put on the no fail mode and just play, and make sure you look around. And because it's really easy to miss some of the stuff going on when you're, you know, people I was talking to, they didn't even see the Saturn, the Jupiter, or the two planets there. And I'm like, that's the best part. How'd you miss that? But you do have to kind of like pay attention. You do have to kind of pay attention because when you're just focused on, you know, not messing up. But yeah, I did notice, however, in that song at the end where it's like, you know, with your mapping, and it's like, I just want you to hold or whatever, and it makes you do like a
it makes
like
the
a
rails cross over. It makes you hug. That was actually real quick. It's just funny because like what I do when I map is I listen to the song for like over and over, right? And it's just like that was one of the first things that came to me was just like if I do make them do this, they'll hug you.
Yeah.
Funny. I'm glad that you noticed that. I'm really glad. Yeah.
It blows every time something like that happens in this game. It blows my mind every time. I mean, there's so many areas in this game that are really just like when you discover it, especially when you discover it, you're just like, whoa, like that just happened, or I just noticed that. And that to me is forever what makes this game like so special. And you have infinite music to work with and to experiment with. And so like, I mean, the sky's the limit for where you can go with this game, because as long as music exists, you know.
I think the experiences overall brought something very special for us because it put us in the creative space, and we need to actually like we want to push the limits with experiences.
Absolutely, and
to give you an idea,
a great blend.
It was I was doing the math, and it was 6 months. 6 months it took us to from the time we first started talking about the Starlight experience was 6 months, to release.
Wow.
So there's a lot of work, a lot of pre-work that goes on before it goes anywhere. Lots of inspirational mood boards, and it's treated like every other project that we do. You know, every creative project we do, we start with mood boards and inspirations and go through from there. But yeah, 6 months. So there are a lot of effort to do. That's why there are so few of them. But they're incredibly worthwhile, and we love them. We're completely committed to them. Yeah.
Well, I can't wait to go back in and discover some more. So as we start to wind things down here, is there anything else you guys like to share with us? Like, maybe anything you have planned in the future, what you're currently working on, or, of course, where we can find you on all social media, anything along those lines?
Well, it's always difficult to talk about stuff. You know how things are. We can't give away too much about what's coming. So we don't. But all I can say is that we do have things that are coming. So just expect more things as we go through. Falcon, you want to talk about where to find us and all that sort of stuff?
The website is probably the best source of information, so synthridersvr.com. So if you jump in there, you'll find most of the information, how to contact us. But if you're on Twitter, if you're on Instagram and such, it's always going to be at synthridersvr. It's the best way to find us. If you are watching the YouTube videos and you're going to check out the channel, that is just synthriders, 2 words. But yeah, you can find me or one of the team, or if you have any questions, I believe the DMs are always open. You can always send us a message. One of us will definitely get back to you. And we also have an amazing official community on Facebook. So if you jump in, if you're a Facebook user, you spend a lot of time there. You can also find the events and invites there as well. So if you search up Synth Riders official community, you'll find us. And always make sure to read the rules and accept. If you don't respond, we will not be able to accept that invitation. It's important to check everything and put the boxes.
Guys, and don't feel bad if we are not like teasing too much stuff. I think one of the things that we love is when we are about to release something, to have the moment to like put some marketing pieces to have interaction with the audience of what's coming and those kind of things. So that is very important for us.
Well, I'm
we'd
really
like to have
excited.
the element of surprise. The element of surprise.
I was scrambling to figure out that Morse code when you guys were doing that on there. I'm like, oh great, now I gotta try to record this thing.
I was way off.
Put it through a translator.
I was way off with the Morse code.
The Morse code is Teebo and What the Shark that was there doing. They put that together.
I just have to say that like the Morse code stuff was partially inspired by Gravity Falls. Like I loved that show, and so they had a lot of like puzzle solving stuff, and I was like, I was inspired by What the Shark's idea, and then just kind of ran with it. So I'm glad that you guys are engaging with it. That makes me very happy, actually.
Yes. Oh yeah, we were trying to figure it out, but we were way off from what we thought it was.
Yeah, some people really were on the ball once they figured out what was going on. I think how long was it? It was like a few minutes after the second teaser.
So yeah, the second teaser I think took about 20 or 30. I think it was about 34 minutes exactly, and then the third one no one figured out, because we made it too challenging, and then the last one, it was solved immediately, because we got some fluent Morse speakers in the community, I guess. I don't know.
Well, I don't know if you guys just have recently been getting more members or not, but it seems like your content has been ramping up. I mean, it just seems like, you just released on PlayStation VR, you released the Adrenaline Pack, the Caravan Palace, now a Muse Pack. So I'm really excited to see this growth and this more content you bring to us, because the game is already pretty stacked. But anything you can add to it, we are ready to consume and enjoy and play. And really can't thank you guys enough for being here today. But before you guys get out of here, did anybody else from the audience like to ask anything? What's up, Shug?
Hey guys. I'm going to be careful how I ask this next question, because I don't want this to take away any of your your clight or your fanfare here. But when it comes to VR and the music rhythm genre, of course there's the Beat Saber, and that was kind of the game I think that for a lot of people think of when they think of like the OG. And I was curious, when it comes to you guys and Synth Riders, has Beat Saber been more of a boon for you, or has it been actually more difficult? I mean, in the fact that, like, I guess in some ways it might have knocked doors down where you could go, well, we're like Beat Saber but different when approaching, say, artists. Or have you guys found that it's been, difficult to go, we're not Beat Saber? we are different, because I do find, say in the last year and a half or so, I feel like Synth Riders has become Synth Riders, where others, other upstart companies might go, we're like Synth Riders. I feel like you guys have finally come into your own. And I was just curious how you guys feel about that whole thing.
Yeah, I think a few years ago we were more, when we had like similar features, that people had that common comment of like, this is a ripoff of Beat Saber, or this is pretty similar to Beat Saber. But I think for me, Beat Saber is more like technical oriented, and we're more like creative oriented somehow, and we make it even more stronger in that regard.
As far as like the social and like community aspects of like Synth Riders versus Beat Saber and stuff, it's, of course people always draw the comparison, but like the thing that I have learned, and like Wirrel also says all the time, and like we all kind of say, is like, it's not illegal to like both. Like you can like both. That's
Right.
fine.
Oh,
Like
I like both.
I love Beat Saber too. But it's like when you think about it, having. Well, yeah. Having a variety of different VR games is really good for you, because then you get stuck. If you play only one, you get stuck in the same type of motion. You only train those muscles, because VR is a very like active type of medium, right? And so if you play a little bit of Beat Saber, you kind of, you have your arms. You play a little bit of Synth Riders. It's more full body. Maybe you play a little pistol whip. It's more lower body, because you're like crouching and doing the Matrix everywhere.
Leg day.
Leg day, yeah. So it's,
Leg day, you're right.
It's, people are always, often if people want to make that comparison, I think that's just like the one thing that I always try to remind and like mention, is that it's not illegal to like both, and that it's perfectly fine if you like Beat Saber more, you like Synth Riders more, but just know that like it's probably a good idea to play both, honestly. And it's totally fine. It's not illegal.
If you like one, you probably like the other.
Yeah, exactly. And there's actually a lot of people who come from Beat Saber too to play this game. Yeah.
Oh, totally. I think you guys have done a great job, though. That's my point, is that I feel like in the beginning it was like, oh, it's another Beat Saber clone. And now it's like, no. Now it's Synth Riders. I feel like you guys have really, however you've managed to do that, I'm kind of applauding the fact that I feel like you guys have really made your own brand. I don't hear it go, oh, it's another rhythm game. No, it's Synth Riders. It's a dancing action rhythm game. It's its own beast now, and I love that.
Yeah, and in my personal experience is, that to say, oh, it's an X clone is just the lazy answer for I've nailed my colors to this particular game, and I don't want to look outside. I've invested so much time here that I'm not interested in looking at anything else. And so if someone says to me that Synth Riders is a Beat Saber clone, I'll go, that's okay. Beat Saber is an Audio Shield clone. That's the reality. It wasn't the first. It wasn't the first rhythm game, and then I'll say an Audio Shield was the DDR clone or a Guitar Hero clone. There's no monopoly. There's no monopoly on rhythm games. You are, like we said, it's not illegal to like both. I love playing O-Shape. I love playing Audio Shield. I love playing anything that comes along. It's really good to do things. And as someone who's got a long background in fitness and movement, your body needs to move in multiple ways. And personally for me, my experience was when I started playing Beat Saber, I have about 80 hours before I hung up my sabers permanently, because it was doing permanent damage to me to play that game. My body and that game do not get on. But the moment that I picked up Synth Riders, I was like, I can play this game for ages and not walk away with needing to see a physical therapist to have things corrected, because I was doing damage. So, like I said, it really is a very personal experience, but the broader range of movements that you do, the better it is for your body. And I think we've done a good job of sort of saying, we were in parallel development with Beat Saber. It wasn't done after, it was all in parallel development. And to understand that what is it that makes Synth Riders. And I came back to that rail mechanic we talked about before, the genius of the rail mechanic. The things that you can do in Synth Riders are things that you just can't do in some other games, and we really try and push into those things. To not be frightened to do slower songs, to not be frightened to use those mechanics to their fullest, and that's what makes that Synth Riders experience the way Synth Rider song works. Yeah,
all I was going to say though is I actually find a lot in common with Synth Riders to like these Japanese arcade games I used to play. a lot like that. There's like so much similarity. A lot of the poking and grabbing and catching and doing the rails and stuff. There's some really cool games on the PlayStation Japan store that I get, like Airtone, Beat Fever, and but this is a more like updated kind of modernized and, like you said, creative game that I really love, and I connect with the music in this game, which makes it really special to my heart personally. That music and the mapping and everything, the art design, it all just feels like it's tailored for me. So it makes it extra special, and I get like very protective about Synth Riders, and I'm just like, this is my game. I love this game. Yeah, it's just all of it. So just really, really great job, and I can't thank you guys enough for being here today. It's such an honor. Aben, Aussie, Wirrel, Teebo, Falcon, and Jhean, thank you guys so much for being here, and thank you so much to all the creators who developed this room, and of course, thank you to everybody who tuned in to watch this episode of the VR Chat Show. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you on the next one. Woo!